Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Camilla Carrara, Project Coordinator of C.L.A.S.S. I'm really pleased to welcome you all today for the C.L.A.S.S last edition of our C.L.A.S.S Smart Voices program, that is Fashion for Dimension, the power of sharing responsible innovation. The session will last approximately 1 hour, of which 45 minutes presentation moderated by our CEO and founder, Giusy Bettoni, and 15 minutes for the Q&A session. You can write down your questions in the chat starting from now. We will then answer them at the end of the session. I'll also leave my email address for further communication. Indeed, I kindly ask you to keep your microphones off for till the end of the conversation. Moreover, as we are recording the session, I suggest you to switch off your camera in case you're not willing to appear. Now, I'm extremely pleased to present our today's speakers. Giusy Bettoni, CEO and founder of C.L.A.S.S, Amber Valletta, world-renowned supermodel, actress and activist, Carlo Capazza, chairman of Camera Nazionale della Moda Italiana, Sara Sozzani Maino, deputy director Vogue Italia, head of Vogue Talents. So the influential guests will share their ongoing projects and their visions for an innovative way of communicating sustainable values. Enjoy the vision.
Thank you, Camilla, and extremely pleased to be here today. As Camilla was saying, it sounds a little bit sad about our last Smart Voice. It's just the last one for 2020, a very intense year, you know, about news, tragedy, but also opportunities. You know, C.L.A.S.S Smart Voice are digital talk where fashion global leaders are sharing projects, experiences, visions, material that are able to shake up the fashion system, especially in this moment of pandemic and also infodemic to a certain extent. I'm Giusy Bettoni. I'm running C.L.A.S.S, this ecohub that provides smart tools and services. We go from materials, circular economy innovation, machine, device finishing, and we try to empower professionals to do business both more sustainable and competitive at the same time. We're based in Milan, and we have a strategic presence also in London and New York. And since 2007, we are supporting manufacturer, designer to orientate, integrate. That is our keyword, you know, strategic choice in terms of responsibility. And the key thing is that at the base of the C.L.A.S.S philosophy, we have a precise formula that the people that is following us, you know, knows, you know, because that has been our kind of song, a kind of belief in the last 12 years. You know, we are looking at the fashion with the capital F, the virtuous one, that has to be the product of a perfect integration of design, innovation, and sustainability. And now more than ever, as we navigate through a pandemic and infodemic situation, we are implementing it with a fourth dimension that is communication. The new generation of communication is the key to reach not only the market, but the end consumer against what we call greenwashing and fake news. We know that is something that is happening more and more. In a proper communication, the storytelling, we say we need to match the story making with a clear, authentic, and precise, you know, renewed lexicon that represent values that are also measurable. How many times we hear consumer does not understand you know, what is sustainability? But the truth is that, you know, if we are not able to adequately, you know, appropriately tell them what it is about, you know, we are losing, you know, the possibility for them to make a good choice about our sustainability achievements and values. And most likely, what is happening is that the price linked to all this effort to achieve sustainability will be considered like unjustifiable surplus, and that's is not something that we want to happen. You know, we need to align what we do with what we say. We cannot be generic in what we say if we have invested so much in what we do. We know that, you know, responsible innovation is boosting in the last 5 years, but the communication didn't do the same. You know, let's say upgrade. So, and we talk about all levels of the supply chain and the value chain. So truly sustainable fashion must be 4-dimensional. You know, communication is not anymore a tool, but is becoming part of the dimension that we need to respect, because if we are not able to communicate adequately, we will never have, you know, the improvement that we are looking for. So we must integrate design, innovation, and sustainability with sharing it with the public at large as well. So today, and that's today's subject basically, and I'm so grateful and so honored to be here today with you know, 3 key players of the fashion, you know, to really discuss about this. We have a visionary expert today, and I would like to start, you know, with, because I do not want to talk too much, because we have, you know, expert people that can share their vision and their view about, you know, these argument. So, Carlo Capazza, chairman of Camera Nazionale della Moda, Italiana, represent one of the most important luxury fashion system, the Italian one. Camera Nazionale della Moda has been working and including sustainability at strategic level since 2011, and in 2012 published the Manifesto on Sustainability, which brought major maison and leading textile company at the working table on responsible practices and value, and this has been really a milestone, Carlo. I still remember as it was yesterday. It was one of the first big steps. Today, Camera Nazionale della Moda supports its member and drive the sector thanks to more than 10 active working groups made of CSR manager and global events like the Green Carpet Fashion Awards and the International Sustainability Roundtable. So a big background, Carlo. So, but you know, we have you here today. So can you share with us Camera Nazionale della Moda Italian journey with sustainability?
Yes, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you to be here and thank you to have me here. We started, as you said, I was in the board of Camera La Moda when we started. I remember with Anna Zegna that was very, very involved in sustainability, and me, we were discussing a lot how important it was for the camera, and everybody understood at that moment it was something to understand more about it. But at that time, you know, we were a little bit not thinking really that we were so much responsible of the pollution in the planet, so much responsible of the bad effect of fashion. Because at that time, we were not talking enough about this. So the first story about communication started there, started where Greenpeace in 2011 said, oh, the fashion is responsible for most of the pollution in the planet. And we said, what? And we start to understand that we had to take care of that, to look behind that. So we started with our manifesto, and then later having a table of sustainability. Now we have 10 different tables on sustainability in different arguments, because we found out that to be sustainable is quite complicated, and it's not I'm sustainable. What about we have a table about the product, chemical, process, chemical, use of the water. Then we have tables about animal welfare. We have tables about circular economy. We have tables about social responsibility. So it becomes a real big matter. And the first and most important story is to collect the right data, to understand it more, and to try to give some guidelines so the industry can be aligned on the way to act or to react. So we started creating those tables, and then every year one international roundtable where all the brands started to be part of. Now we almost every famous brand in the world comes to our roundtable every year. Last year we have very many guests, honored guests. They talk about it. Last year Kerry Kennedy was talking about the labor situation. Was very nice, and all the time we have different people talking, and then roundtable where we sit and we really work, saying what shall we do? How can we found a common floor to share about sustainability? Then we understood in 4 years ago, as soon as I arrived, I understood that we needed to talk more loud, and so we created this story of the Green Carpet Fashion Award. I called Olivia Firth at the time because she was doing something called Green Carpet. In truth, was just those famous actresses showing during the Oscar with the dress was sustainable. And my idea at the time was I want to do an award about fashion. So I said, why not fashion sustainable? And I called Livia, said, listen, Livia, can we use your green carpet idea to make an award? She agreed, and we started these Green Fashion Awards. And was very important because you believe it or not, since we started, much more people, much more brands, they got involved with sustainability. Because until that moment, they had the idea that to be sustainable was like to wear, I don't know, a monk suit with the sandal. And in truth, they found out that you can be glamour and sustainable. And so that message, a little bit more pop, more, you know, glamorous, was arriving stronger sometimes than all our research documents and all that. So once again, how important it is to communicate in a proper way. And since then, I started more and more to be also, you know, everything evolved, the culture evolved around us, the community, the young generation, everybody was pushing that in that direction. But fortunately, we were able to understand this story and to start to work seriously. Now we are part of the Fashion Pact. We are in a European group of work on the process of circular economy. So we are working more and more, but it's a never-ending story. There is never an end to sustainability. Sustainability is something that you try to be better, and this is what we are trying to do today.
So, Carlo, you are confirming that it's important to have an eye on the supply chain because you have been starting from the industry, especially in Italy, but you have also working with the communication to align the fact that, you know, sustainability is not about, you know, just sacrifice, but it's also something that could be really amazing, beautiful, and very contemporary. And the fact that you open up the door to consumer as well with this communication has been really successful. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, of course, we have to pay attention to what we all call greenwashing. We have to pay attention to not use communication just to say that you are sustainable for when you're not at all. Some brands, especially in the low side of part of the market, they use very much this tool as a communication tool, but we call it greenwashing. So you have to pay very much attention to use communication in the right way, because if you don't use it in the right way, you have a very double bad effect. One could be on the consumers, so they are very confused, but one is also for your brand, because once the people they found out, and today they are very smart, then it's also bad for your brand to say a story, to tell a story that is not true. So what I suggest is that communication must be very honest, very real. You have to not be afraid to say, this is the situation, this is the way we are now, and this is what we want to improve. So I believe in communication, but must be very, very true and honest. For example, we are going to publish on December 16 this document that is a research made by Fair Wage, that is a no-profit association, is a Swiss no-profit association. We asked for this survey in Italy. They went to interview all the many workers in different industries of suppliers, sub-suppliers, fashion, understanding the situation, the real situation of workers in Italy. And we are going to publish this survey because we believe that we have to know where are we and what we should do to make the future better. This is the right, the proper approach to sustainability. Also, we have to be more and more together to create some rules very clear, because what the consumer, but also the industry need is some clear guidelines, clear rules, because it's very difficult to define what is sustainable and what is not. So just with some real rules, we can do that. We did it a little bit, for example, for chemical in the product. We have real rules for chemical in the product, and for chemical in the use of chemicals in production. I think we have to have more and more of those rules very clear and shared between all the components of the industry. I believe that also the story of Fashion Pact, we are part also of that, is very interesting and nice because there is a good approach to the ocean and to the food carbon print. And this is something that we have to have clear, and we have to measure, and we have to say which stage are we and where we want to go. This, I think, is the proper way to communicate. Communicate something that is true.
And I'm 100% with you, Carlo. You know, we need to communicate well, but the truth, or we are exactly on the opposite side. So thank you, Carlo.
And we can share the video if you agree, Giusy.
Yes, please. You know, Carlo has a very nice video about the Green Capper Challenge that I think it's great to share. No audio. We cannot hear the music at all.
Muscle.
Well, La Scala Theatre is always such an emotional place. Some words, Carlo. Unfortunately, there are Amber. Wow. And the city of Milan. Thank you, Camilla, and thank you, Carlo, for this witness. And let's talk to Sara. You know, Sara Sozzani Maino. Communication is the superpower of Sara, Deputy Director, Vogue Italia, Head of Vogue Talents, International Brand Ambassador of the Camera Nazionale della Moda Italiana, and Goodwill Ambassador of United Nations-related platform Fashion for Development. Your mission is to help business to focus on searching and communicating sustainable fashion talent to the public at large. It couldn't be much focused to our conversation today. Sara, you're part of a key fashion magazine and on front line research on new design talents where sustainability already represent, you know, a key value. Can you share with us your view, your direct experience about the contemporary need to have a storytelling that need to be more and more aligned with story making in order to enable consumers not just to make a conscious choice, but fulfill their contemporary needs for sustainable emerging values from all surveys that we are looking at international level. Sara, it's your time. Can you unmute your...
Yeah, sorry. No, I said long questions and long introduction, but anyways, I'm not gonna be so long. But no, thank you. I'm very happy to be here. I have to say that for me, I just want to go a step backwards. I mean, I've been supporting the new generation for many years, and in a way, I feel also part of that system that made, you know, not sustainable, because obviously supporting, you know, designers of the new generation to be on spotlight, obviously I was focused more on supporting the talent, but then in the end, I was also supporting, you know, mass production and that overproduction that people were not really considering at that time. So I think that, I mean, the beauty of when you work in the fashion system is that you learn every day, but also you learn on your mistakes. So this is something that I learned, you know, in for my career, and the new generation. I think it's something obviously important because they're our future, and so we need to, you know, support them. But at the same time, I see how much now the new generation is so conscious and want really to change things and trying, you know, to think in a better way. Obviously, what, you know, Carlo was saying is it's fundamental how you communicate and how clear it has to be, because sustainability can be also considered very not very interesting, or, you know, very complicated, or even, you know, not so glamorous or or other things. But I think that the side I'm speaking now, it's like more media, is that we really need to be very clear and aware consumers and all the people outside there that there is, you know, a sustainable way of thinking and of buying. So this is something fundamental that we need to do. And tonight it's 3 of us, and it's 3 people in the fashion industry, but in different sections, that can really give a complete circle of what you can do, like in your daily routine, or also you as an entrepreneur or as a person. So I think this is fundamental of awareness in general. And what I see, going back to the new generation of creatives, I would not just say designers, is the fact that they want really to make the change, but it happens that they don't really know how to make the change, because being sustainable, which obviously, unfortunately, it's a word that right now it has to also have a good sense of it, because it's overused, so people don't really know what does it mean. It's being, you know, responsible, and being responsible can be being responsible doing a collection that, you know, can work in social community, or that works kilometer zero. I mean, there's many ways of being sustainable - responsible. So I think this is also very important to put in the spotlight, to make understand the people outside that there are different ways of being responsible, that you don't have to be like a scientist or someone. I mean, it's all of us that in a way can do it. And I think this is extremely important, because obviously then there are institutions like Camera Nazionale della Moda or Vogue or Amber as an ambassador herself that, you know, can give the right attention and the spotlight. But then it's the what's inside that it's very important. So this is something that I think that I see in the new generation that they want, but most of the times they don't know how to, where to, and obviously then sometimes there's also obviously the economic part, but also this fact of trying to make it more reachable also through education. I mean, education, it's obviously the basic of everyone, and not everyone have the possibility to have education, but it's the basic. I mean, fashion schools or normal schools, I mean, have to have responsible, sustainable courses as a normal part of your life, because then, you know, you come out from school at 18 and okay, it's important to have, you know, foreign languages, history, and all of it. But I think to be responsible is something, it's a subject that has to be almost obliged, because it's a way that then you're going to impact on the planet. So, I mean, the positive thing of, I mean, supporting all these designers, I've seen that in a natural way in the last 4 or 5 years, it's more about projects that want to be responsible in a way, even if maybe they're not totally sustainable. They try to begin to be responsible. As Carlo was saying, I mean, we need to put in place our positive and negative aspects. You know, I'm a big company. I've not done good until now, but now I'm trying to change. So you need to put yourself kind of naked. And this is going, you know, back to the storytelling of your brand. And storytelling right now, also that is a very abused word. It's fundamental, because right now you have to put your face, not because you want to appear on Instagram and have likes, but you have to put your face to prove that what you're doing is real, and to make understand people that do not really understand what it means be sustainable, how it can work. It could be complicated, it could be simple, it could be through a t-shirt, it could be through I don't know, through a project you're wanting, a startup. There are many ways, and I think this is the best way to do it, because then people will think it's a normal approach, it's approachable, not for all the how do you say, sectors, but it has to be reachable. So I think this is something that media-wise, it's very important.
I cannot be much more in agreement with you, Sara, because we are not here about perfection. We are here, we keep saying a journey, and it's not rhetoric. It's because, you know, the supply chain and the value chain to become responsible is not one single thing. And that's why the greenwashing at the moment is more on I have a sustainable material and I'm sustainable, and that's why we go back to the story making and storytelling that needs to be aligned. And most of the time, you know, it's more about a company behind, you know, what we say and not just a product. But I think what we would like to share today, thanks also to your expertise, the fact that a lot of positive things are coming, and the fact that you have this observatory on the talents maybe can help us to share also some positive, you know, case history that are already happening, because we know that we are getting into technology to become responsible and innovative at the same time. We are now going into the storytelling that, you know, story making that is also about the reputation, as Carlo was saying, because when you say I'm doing and I'm responsible, very generic, you are also putting the reputation of your brand into, you know, a risk assessment, basically. So can you maybe share with us some case history of some brands, some, you know, that is already, you know, going into this direction?
Well, I mean, when I meet, you know, designers, obviously they're at a very early stage, and what I've seen is that when they decide to start a brand which is that wants to be responsible, I mean, I'm not saying the easiest way, but the most natural way is to start like kilometer zero. So you do what you have in house or next to you. You know, you try to use what you have. So one example I can say is, I'm gonna do 3 examples very quick, is like Helen Kirkham. She's a UK designer, and I was really like fascinated by her because she started to go into like probably vintage stores and getting all the Nikes, then assembled them and put them together and putting like one unique, you know, shoe about that. So I cannot say that that's a sustainable project totally, because you're putting down Nikes which are not sustainable, but because I mean, it's not made sustainable, but you're doing an upcycle, recycling way of seeing things. So this is why, going back to what I was saying, that, I mean, being responsible can be done in many ways. I mean, all the stuff that has been produced, I mean, we cannot burn it as people do, but we shouldn't burn it. And so we reuse it. So that was a good example of reusing, recycling, and I think that's a responsible project. Another one, she's always from UK, is now it came up in my mind. It's Bethany Williams. She also had a prize from the Queen from the British Fashion Council, and I hosted her before that. And that was interesting because she just worked with social community. She works with San Patrignano in Italy. She works with people from a jail in London, and she gives empowerment to women. So that's another way of being responsible. And anyways, her clothing is also responsible because she uses like back ends of old books to do like handbags. And so that's another way of being responsible. And then another person is a common friend of ours. It's Matteo Rad, that he started more going like doing that part of chemistry, you know, trying to find a way of doing sustainable tie-dye with not carbon, with graphite, which I don't know how you say it in English. And then he launched his first online school, and you know, because for the new generation. So these are really 3 different responsible projects that can make changes. Obviously, then there are way other examples. I see that Enrica Arena from Orange Fiber, she's connected with us, and she's one of a very successful story of, you know, of doing, you know, a process which becomes more of a, she's gonna be someone that gives material, you know, to brands. So there are many different ways. So this is just a few examples.
Thank you for sharing. And as you said, you know, there is a long list, especially with the new generation that are not just young, but really a new generation of conceiving sustainability that start, first of all, in not wasting what we have already done, and, you know, try to, in a creative way, rethink about them. So thank you very much, Sara.
Thank you.
And Amber, hello, good morning. supermodel, actress, and activist. You know, another long CV, but you know, full of really interesting things. Really committed, you know, as an activist to advancing smarter consumption and environmental awareness, and a fashion icon. You know, after moving to Los Angeles, you know, she also became a very successful actress. She founded Master and Muse, the premier lifestyle platform for responsible makeup in edge fashion. Co-founded the Square Films. And Amber served as an advisor to One for One, the Conscious Design Initiative in partnership with the United Nations. But also education, FIT Sustainability Education Ambassador and FIT Foundation board member. So, and currently the first ever named sustainability contributing editor for British Vogue. And, you know, we are looking now to some of the, you know, of the British Vogue. Amber, thanks to be here, first of all, with us. From your specially observatory of the market and knowledge of the real values of sustainability, can you tell us about, you know, the new generation of communication we need to move, considering the strong message we got about transparency, health? We cannot forget about, you know, the period we are in, ethical values emerging from consumer conversation at global level. Amber, you're on stage.
Thank you. Thank you, Giusy, for having me. And it was so great to hear Carlo and Sara. And thank you, everybody, for being here. So yeah, I think the global conversation about sustainability is evolving. Today's consumer is expecting and wanting a brand to be ethical, inclusive, and environmentally responsible. And as we know, consumers are extremely savvy and they can kind of read through the bullshit. Excuse my English. And so today I feel with what I do, I can kind of piggyback on what Sara was saying. I have an immense sense of responsibility coming from fashion. I've been in fashion for 30 years. And so in the past, we didn't have any awareness of what was happening with the supply chain or what was happening with the environment due to fashion. And we do today, and we've known for some time. And so once I had that awareness, I felt an enormous responsibility to change the way I do business and the way I interact with the consumer, but also the way I interact within the fashion industry. And so I kind of see my role as a communicator as also a connector. And so I feel what I can do today is be a connector between the brand's values and how they'd like to share them and speak to them to the consumer. Since I'm a model and usually a face of a brand, I feel that today I can be, I can tell that story for a brand in a different way. Also, you know, I have the opportunity now with the editorship to highlight brands that are up and coming or maybe trying new ways to be sustainable or responsible. I can also just share the message of responsibility in simple shopping guides. I mean, I don't want to promote a lot of shopping, but I would rather people be directed to the right stuff than the wrong stuff. I can do these amazing brand collaborations, which we'll talk about in a minute, I think. It was just announced that I'm going to do a collaboration spring 2021 with Karl Lagerfeld, and the first iteration of the collaboration is going to be accessories that are completely sustainable. And then the idea is to build on that and maybe do even a take back program. They are also part of the Fashion Pact, and we are going to hopefully help that company evolve into a truly sustainable and responsible company, which is super exciting. So that's the first iteration of an expression that's me collaborating with a brand and creating product that is sustainable. And then I try to use my platform, my social media, to express and teach and educate the importance of sustainability. And then do things with like UKES and the Vogue Challenge, or the UN 1-to-1 that we were talking about, which is a little more internal in the industry. But if we don't change the industry from the inside out, we can't express that outwardly to the consumer. And so it's important for me, I think, to work from the inside in and then out, meaning kind of that the whole industry, who's aware of what is happening environmentally or socially within the supply chain, has a responsibility and an obligation to cut back on waste, to become more circular, to decrease emissions, and then implement and talk about those changes. I think Sara was talking about that, and Carlo was saying that as well, is that we have to be willing to be honest about where we're at as a brand. And even me as a brand, I have to be honest. Like, I've done and worked with companies that aren't necessarily doing it perfectly. And we all have to kind of be honest where we're at, especially a brand, and say, you know, I'm trying to do this, but I haven't gotten here yet. I want to go here. This is what I am doing. And that way consumers have an opportunity to see and to decide whether they want to support you, and also help you along your way to change, to become a more responsible brand. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of, I'm going to pause. I have more ideas on that, but I wanted to so I don't keep talking, give you an opportunity.
But, you know, we are not here to give presentation. We are here to share thoughts, ideas, and beliefs as well. So you have not to worry about it. It's so important, you know, this work of being a facilitator of communication. You know, sometimes when we talk, and everybody of you said it, sometimes it looks like that when we need to talk about sustainability, you need to be an engineer, a scientist, you know, or someone that does not link to the beauty of fashion. So, and we need more and more to go beyond that, because now we have the real possibility to overcome, you know, let's say challenges, that technical challenges that we had 10 years ago, for example, when we started the class. But at the same time, we need to make it very simple. We need to make it true and simple at the same time. So, you know, don't worry, share and talk. And, you know, one of the things that I would like to ask you as well is, you know, share with us some positive, you know, some sort of a case history of something that, you know, is going into the right direction.
Well, I think what I mentioned with both British Vogue allowing me to be a sustainability editor is very positive. It means that there's someone that you know publicly is bringing you something that is exciting and new and sharing a change. Then there's, you know, a company like Karl Lagerfeld is also making a huge change. To me, those are positive signs. And then also I see a way of communicating with consumers can be entertaining. It doesn't have to be so academic, and it shouldn't be. I think if we want to bring people in to understanding what we're talking about, you know, whether it's the supply chain or workers' rights or inclusivity or environmental issues, we don't have to dumb it down, but we have to make it accessible. And whether that's an expression through art, collaborations, or music, or film, you know, Stella McCartney does a great job of this, collaborating with all these different forms of media and art to express that point of view to her consumers. And so I think if you're a designer here today listening, or an entrepreneur, or even, you know, whatever part of the industry, I think of the exciting and creative ways that you can communicate with people to tell your story, because it doesn't have to be just, you know, a social responsibility or environmental responsibility report on your website. It can be something much more exciting. And I think that's the hope of what I've been trying to do is that there's a lot of fun brands that are doing this. You know, there's a new brand called Human Race with Pharrell, the musician here, and it's a skincare line, and it's all organic and sustainable. And it's just the advertising alone is like, you kind of wonder what it is, and it's exciting. And there's Pangaea, which is a sweatsuit company, and they're very transparent about everything they're doing. And it looks cool, and it makes you kind of want to buy in and be a part of it. I think there's a lot of people, much smaller brands too, that are telling their story in different ways. And I think the big opportunity here is to tell something that's exciting, even if it's just something small that you're doing. Be willing to share that, because I think the more honest we are and authentic we are about this important change we all need to make, the more people will jump on board. And that's what we need right now.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Amber. You know, I think we are all saying the same thing about integrate the values of responsibility into the design and into the innovation. That is the way to get there in an honest, simple way, where communication is playing a bigger role. If it's the new generation of communication that is not I'm the phenomenon, but I'm someone on the way to get things better, you know, at any level. And I would like to, wrap up on this, just highlighting some initiatives that C.L.A.S.S is doing to help this communication from our perspective. One is exactly what you were describing, Amber. You know, in cooperation with Connecting Culture, we have created the Imagining Sustainable Fashion Award, but it's a global competition. And I'm telling here because we want to share the message with as much as possible creative people in the world. It's a global competition calling for artists, designers, and all creative to come up with out-of-the-box ideas to narrate sustainability in fashion, because we need new ways to, visualize also sustainability. And this proposal can be submitted until January 12, 2021. We have a very interesting international influential jury that will announce the winner on February. So on top of this, we have also created the C.L.A.S.S Icon Award, that is an annual award, the best visionary and responsible designers bringing sustainability to the public at large. For 2020, we awarded Gilberto Calzolari. We named him C.L.A.S.S Icon, not only because we share the same values, but also because he strives to convey them to the end consumer with a powerful and inspiring message. With the Ultimate Teal collection, the designer, he has blended smart, new and circular economy materials with a big challenge to the seasonality of fashion, so it's an intriguing way of working, communicating, and create new aesthetic as well. And then smart voices like today, because sharing knowledge is one of the key important things, is an education in another way, basically. So that is our, let's say, contribution to this, let's say, challenge. That is something that I think we are handling quite in a good way. It will take time, but all united, we can make something. I will have a look at the question that has come during our conversation, because I see a number about 13. So let me check. So,
Giusy, if you need support, there is one from Melissa that is asking, what kind of support do you think is missing for the new talents to sell and grow up?
I think it's open to all of you to answer.
Well, I mean, what's missing? I mean, I think it's just, I mean, right now, the best way to sell it's through e-commerce, and I think it's very important to try and emphasize. I mean, as I was going, I was saying before that, for I say common people, not just to make you understand, not people that maybe work in fashion or that are more focused to be responsible, common people that you cross over the street. I think going back and repeating myself a little bit, is always accessibility and accessibility to information. So I think this is something extremely important because I mean, it's the only way then for the new generation that comes out with new projects and responsible projects to say, ah, okay, so you know what, maybe I'm, you know, for new entrepreneurs to think probably it would be better to open, I know that right now to open a shop, maybe it's not the first thing that comes up in the mind, but you could say, I open a responsible shop where I just find, you know, responsible projects, which right now, it's everything is happening on e-commerce because obviously it's much quicker, but we have to also do it physical. And that's why, going back to what even Amber and Carlo was saying, that we need to be very transparent even in our errors. I do think that those big brands that are obviously putting a lot of effort, money, and investment to become more responsible, they could begin to put in their shops corners where they make understand that, you know, these changes are happening. Because if not, if people continue to go in shops and don't see changes, they don't understand how to make them. So I always say, when you go to the grocery and you buy something new, you always go look at the back to see how it is made of. And this is the same thing that should happen with clothes.
There is also a question for Mr. Capasa. It's written, in an industry where success is measured by growth and profits come from a model of take, make, use, and dispose, just using low impact materials is not enough. What initiatives is the Camera promoting to reduce the rate of consumption? Mr. Capasa?
Eccomi. Sì, well, what initiative what initiative to reduce the
rate of consumption?
Okay. Well, as I said, we have some tables open on each of the single issue of sustainability. One table is, of course, about the circular economy, and there we are talking about reuse, recycling, and the end of life of the product, because today we have to face, fortunately, the law is changing, the law, European law is changing, and so the will not be possible. Anybody who will destroy garments, clothes made by virgin material will have to pay a tax on that. So this is very good because it will improve the reuse of clothing, and I think this is a proper and right way to do it. It will be operative in Europe from 2024, end of 2024, but they're talking in Italy to make it operative, this law, by 2022. And I think this will be a real change on the attitude of recycling, reusing of clothing. At the moment, everybody's trying to work on this project. As I said, not just you have to think that we have a culture about this. You have to think that in Prato we started many years ago from the idea of recycling material, for example. No, so for sure we have now to work in many different directions. One story is about how to use in a 360 degrees system the inventory, left inventory. For example, we can use in the buildings. We can use in the food industry so we can use a lot of what is left in that way, as much as we can use what is left in the food industry for fashion. You have to think today we have the Frumat leather made from apple, or we have orange fiber made from oranges. We give prize to those new brands that they are recycling. So we are doing many things, some small, some big, but all together at the end they are going to change the culture. We are working really practically in many aspects to reuse, recycling, and give a value to what is left, at least to pay tax if you don't reuse it.
Then there are, thank you, there are some nice comments also for Amber. So for example, the Deserto team is saying we are really excited to start collaborating. I assume it's for you. And then Asi Efros is mentioning, thank you, Amber, for your suggestion of bringing celebration and fun into the subject of sustainability. Mm-hmm. And also Kutai is saying, Amber, much agreed with Asi on bringing celebration and fun into sustainability and collaboration. Then we have another question for Sara, talking about new generation of designers, which are the criteria to access and be part of Vogue Talents?
Well, I mean, Vogue Talents is open to everyone. I mean, we are completely reachable in any kind of form of communication, Instagram, email. So if you also go on my Instagram account, Sara Maino _, there is an email where you can send your projects. I mean, we are totally open to see any kind of project. I think that it has to just encounter, well, if you are a responsible project, you're more advantage, obviously. And I think it's very important right now to have a very focused vision and message and the storytelling, because storytelling is not just about the word, but as I was saying before, even something that is just, you know, behind also the garment that you're creating. Even if it's, you know, responsible, it has to have a story why you started. I mean, it's not just about because you like doing clothes. I mean, there has to be a purpose and also a goal that you want to obtain from what you're doing. I mean, it's not just about anymore doing brands, but you have to be thinking yourself to be a change maker. So this is something. And going back to seeing the Amber is doing the collaboration with Lagerfeld, Deserto are a beautiful example, but I'm saying because I got to know them at the beginning of, because it's a company that started 6 months ago, not even, or even 9 months ago. And a beautiful example of obtaining results and succeeding. And I think that it's so matching the result, what happens, that Karl Lagerfeld, such iconic designer and company, supports such a, you know, such a change maker startup made by young people that want to make the difference. So this is like the perfect marriage, you know, of what, going back to the question of who didn't ask how to support the new generation. This is a beautiful example, and it has to happen more and more.
Okay, thank you. There is also another question for Mr. Capasa. So Mr. Capasa mentioned the chemical management. What are the best practices they are proposing to the textile manufacturers in Italy?
Well, this is an easy answer. You can go on our website, Camera della Moda, and find 2 documents. One is from the product and one is for the process. In those documents, you find really the rules, and the rules are very specific because it's how many milligrams you can use of one substances of another chemical, stuff. So there you can find all the if you have a small company or a big company, you go there and you find our rules. So what we suggest to be the best rules with the technology we have at the moment. Obviously, those rules, they're made following our technology at the moment, and they are valid for all kinds of industry, including tanneries. So even tanneries, they can work under the rules we have detected in our documents.
Thank you. Then there are also some requests to share the link to apply for the Imagining Sustainable Fashion Award, and I just put the link in the chat so that you can directly access. And the Connecting Culture, that is our partner in this, is all connected. Thanks for being here. And then we also have some, let's say, observation from people, like I believe that an educational process should be provided to the new generations because the concept of sustainability seems to often be misunderstood. The Agenda 2030 should be a familiar document to everyone, as well as the basics for circular economy.
Yes, and I think, Camilla, there is a note from Tone Tobiasson, hi Tone, that I think is also important, that it's in the waste hierarchy, reduce is still at the top, overuse and recycle, but it remains the elephant in the room. You know, everybody knows that the reduction is the key objective, of course. We are here to transform all the value that at the moment are called waste. But if we will do less waste, for sure, you know, it's something that it's part of everyday commitment from everybody.
Sorry if I can say something about this. Well, we are talking all about this more conscious consuming. You know, even Giorgio Armani with his interview on WWD was very clear about the new era of fashion. We have to be more conscious in what we sell and the consumers in what they consume. That picture in the green carpet where we give the prize to Valentino, I mean, Sophia Loren gave the prize to Valentino, was because Valentino clothes, sometime if you have in a wardrobe, your grandmother, your mother would give to the daughter and would stay there forever, or they are in a museum. Sometimes if they are in a shop and you can buy an original Valentino from the 60s, cost more than when it was produced. So we have to think with this idea, we have to make something that must be durable, you know. In those last years, we've been too much influenced by the idea of fast fashion that is about use and throw, where we were used to, some of the new generation grown up with the idea that it's better to buy a new shirt than to wash it because it costs less. We have to change this mind. This is the time when we have to change the mind. It's a question of culture. And if we will organize fashion in a different way, in a more slow way, and this is what we are all trying to do, that means less sales. We cannot stay with one garment 6 weeks on the floor and then sales for a new garments. We have to be a little bit slower, as it was a little bit in the past. And so keep a season longer, sales only in a limited time of the season. Some brands, they even decide to not do any more sales. And this is even something where we should go. Why? Because in this way, you can produce less and with the proper margin. And at the same time, you can consume in a more proper way, but it's not damaging the company because it's anyway producing at a good level price, and it's not damaging the consumers because they buy something that is durable, and is not damaging, and is less damaging for the ambient and the planet. This is where we should go, and this is what we are trying to do. So the change must be also cultural, and I totally agree about education. We have to start from there. If the people start to think that one shirt that costs €5 as a problem, probably in the way it was made, probably in the workers' treatment, I mean, probably then we start to understand that fashion must have a value, and we have to respect the value of fashion.
There is also a new question. How works the economy of functionality in the Italian garment industry and the development on the demand production?
For everybody.
Yeah.
If I can say, you know, I think also in Italy, there are new business models that look at the production on demand. You know, it's coming. It's part of, you know, we have been talking so much today with Sara, with Carlo, and also Amber about how the different part of sustainability and the expression of sustainability are really many that goes from the company. But, you know, one of the key things is also the business model that you adopt in order, you know, to be circular and, you know, mix also the expressions of sustainability. You can have a collection with the latest innovation from Deserto, but at the same time, you know, reduce or transform. That is the word that we like to use a lot, because it's not just recycle, so looking like to do something bad, but it's transform values in other values. That is the key thing. But yes, it's part of you know, this kind of business model is part of our Italian garment industry as well, you know, talking about some brands. And there is the last, I think, comment that from Doris: make less, make better, keep longer. I think it's a great, you know, words to close. Thank you so much to our expert, to our friends, to our colleague. You know, thank you so much for your precious contribution, Carlo, Amber, and Sara. I would like, you know, to repeat this session in 1 year time to understand, you know, the changes. I like now to do this comparative, and maybe also with our people around the world. And thank you to all the people that was with us today. That was quite, you know, interesting in, you know, the kind of mix and in numbers as well. And, you know, see you next year with the new challenges of the C.L.A.S.S Smart Voice. Thank you so much, and all the best, and stay safe as well. Ciao.
Thank you, Giusy. Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Ciao. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, Giusy.